Stop scrolling, flushed face. You are not going to believe what happened at Jimin's concert in El Paso. Everything looked perfect at first, but then suddenly it turned into something that, honestly, should never have happened on a stage that big. Hey, Jikook lover! Before we get into this, make sure you hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe right now, because this isn't just about a concert, this is about a moment that has fans all over the world asking, what really happened that night? No one expected that a night meant to be one of the most unforgettable stops on Jimin's tour would suddenly turn into a global talking point filled with confusion, speculation, and unanswered questions. From the moment tickets were announced, fans have been counting down the days to the El Paso show. For many, this wasn't just another concert. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, a chance to witness something magical. And for a while, that's exactly what it was. Outside the venue, the energy had been building since early morning. Fans lined up for hours, holding light sticks, banners, and their excitement close. The atmosphere felt electric, almost too perfect. Some attendees would later describe the feeling as different, though at the time they couldn't quite explain why. When the lights finally dimmed and the opening music echoed through the arena, the crowd erupted instantly. Jimin's name filled the space, echoing off every wall, vibrating through thousands of voices. And when he stepped onto the stage, everything seemed flawless. His movements were sharp, his vocals steady, his presence undeniable. It was the kind of performance fans had come to expect. Polished, powerful, and captivating. But then, something shifted. It didn't happen all at once. There was no dramatic pause or obvious interruption. Instead, it started with small details, subtle enough that many didn't notice at first. A movement that seemed slightly off. A brief change in expression. A moment of hesitation that didn't quite fit the rhythm of the show. At first, most people brushed it off. After all, live performances aren't always perfect. Artists get tired, minor errors happen. It's part of what makes concerts feel real. But as the show continued, those small moments began to stack up in a way that felt unusual. And then came the moment that would later be clipped, replayed, zoomed in on, and debated across every corner of the internet. For those in the crowd, it passed quickly, almost too quickly to fully process. But for those watching back later, it became impossible to ignore. Within hours, videos began circulating online. Fans slowed them down, analyzed every frame, and tried to piece together what they had just witnessed. What exactly happened on that stage? That question spread faster than the videos themselves. Some fans believe it was a technical issue, something behind the scenes that briefly disrupted the performance. Others insist it was something more personal, pointing to Jimin's expression and body language as evidence that something wasn't right. A few even claimed that the interaction that occurred in that moment felt too unplanned, too real, to be part of any scripted show. And perhaps the most unsettling part of it all was what happened afterward. Or rather, what didn't happen. There was no immediate explanation. No clear statement that addressed the growing curiosity. Instead, there was silence. And in the world of global fandoms, silence doesn't calm things down, it amplifies them. Online discussions quickly turned into debates. Some fans urged others not to overanalyze, reminding everyone that performers are human. Others pushed back, arguing that something about that moment simply didn't add up. Eyewitnesses from inside the venue added even more layers to the mystery. A few claimed that the atmosphere in the arena briefly shifted, that the energy changed in a way that was hard to describe but impossible to ignore. It wasn't panic. It wasn't chaos. Just something different. Something off. And yet, by the end of the concert, everything appeared normal again. Jimin smiled, waved, and delivered a strong closing performance. If something had gone wrong, he didn't let it show in any obvious way, which only made things more confusing. Because if nothing serious happened, then why did that moment feel so significant? And if something did happen, how was it resolved so seamlessly that the show continued as if nothing was wrong? Some fans have begun linking the incident to the pressures of touring, the exhausting schedules, the expectations, the constant demand to be perfect. Others believe this is simply a case of the internet magnifying a small, meaningless detail into something much bigger. But not everyone is convinced. There are those who believe we're only seeing a fraction of the truth, that behind the polished performances and carefully controlled visuals, there may have been something that slipped through, just for a second. And that second was enough. Enough to spark global curiosity, enough to divide opinions, enough to leave a question that still hasn't been fully answered. Because in the end, the El Paso concert wasn't just another stop on a tour. It became something else entirely, A moment frozen in speculation, replayed endlessly, and discussed far beyond the walls of that arena. The deeper fans looked into the El Paso night, the more the story refused to settle into a simple explanation. Instead of fading away like most brief on-stage irregularities, this moment seemed to grow, expanding across timelines, languages, and communities. What began as a few seconds of uncertainty had now transformed into a full-scale global discussion, pulling in not just fans, but casual viewers, analysts, and even industry watchers who rarely comment on individual performances. In the days that followed, something unusual started to happen. Instead of a single dominant narrative forming, multiple conflicting interpretations emerged, each backed by its own evidence. One group insisted the entire situation was purely technical, perhaps a sound delay, an in-ear monitor issue, or a miscommunication between stage cues. They pointed to how quickly the performance stabilized afterward, arguing that professionals at that level are trained to recover instantly. But another group wasn't convinced. They focused less on the technical aspects and more on the human element. They replayed Jimin's expressions frame by frame, discussing subtle changes in eye movement, posture, and timing. To them, it didn't look like someone reacting to a simple glitch. It looked personal, or at the very least, unexpected in a way that couldn't be explained by routine stage problems. Then came a third wave of interpretations, perhaps the most speculative of all. These fans began connecting the El Paso moment to broader patterns. They compared it to previous performances, searching for similarities or recurring details that might suggest something larger at play. While many dismissed these theories as overreaching, they still contributed to the growing sense that this wasn't just an isolated incident. What made the situation even more intense was how quickly it spread beyond the fandom itself. Clips began appearing on general entertainment pages, reaction channels, and even accounts that typically had nothing to do with K-pop. Each repost added a new layer of commentary, often amplifying the mystery rather than clarifying it. And yet, despite all the attention, one key piece remained missing: a clear, grounded explanation. In the absence of that, the conversation began to shift from what happened to why does it feel so significant? Because that was the part many couldn't shake. Even viewers who admitted they didn't see anything obviously wrong still described the moment as strange or off. It was as if the reaction wasn't just based on what was visible, but on something harder to define. An instinct, a feeling, a brief disruption in what should have been a perfectly controlled environment. Some longtime fans offered a different perspective. They pointed out that part of Jimin's appeal has always been his emotional authenticity on stage. His performances often blur the line between choreography and genuine expression. Because of that, even small, unscripted moments can feel amplified, carrying more weight than they might in another artist's show. From that angle, the El Paso moment might not have been a mistake at all, but rather a rare glimpse into something real, something unfiltered. But if that's true, why did it spark so much confusion instead of connection? That question led to yet another layer of discussion. Some argue that fans today are more analytical than ever, trained by years of high-definition footage and constant access to content. Nothing goes unnoticed. Every detail can be paused, zoomed, and dissected. In that environment, even the smallest irregularity can take on a life of its own. Others counter that this wasn't just about overanalysis. They believe that the intensity of the reaction pointed to something genuinely unusual, something that stood out even in a world where fans are used to examining every second of performance. Meanwhile, those who were physically present at the concert continued to share their experiences. Interestingly, their accounts didn't always match perfectly. Some insisted they barely noticed anything at all in real time. Others said they felt a brief shift in energy that they couldn't explain until they saw the videos later. That discrepancy only added to the mystery. Was the moment inherently subtle, only becoming significant when viewed through a camera lens? Or did different people simply perceive it in different ways, influenced by their expectations and attention at the time? As discussions deepened, attention also turned to what happened behind the scenes. Without official confirmation, fans began speculating about everything from stage coordination to internal communication. While none of these ideas were verified, they reflected a broader curiosity, not just about the moment itself, but about the systems that surround performances at this level. Because a show like this isn't just one person on stage. It's an entire network of professionals working in sync: choreographers, sound engineers, lighting teams, stage managers, and more. For something to feel off, even briefly, it raises questions about how all those moving parts interact, And what happens when something doesn't go exactly as planned? Still, for every theory that leaned toward complexity, there was another that leaned toward simplicity. Some fans urged everyone to step back, suggesting that the situation had been blown far out of proportion. They argued that the lack of a dramatic outcome was itself proof that nothing serious had occurred. After all, the concert continued. The performance ended successfully. There were no official reports of major issues. So why, they asked, are we still talking about this? It's a fair question. And yet, the conversation hasn't stopped. If anything, it has evolved. What started as an attempt to identify a specific moment has become a broader reflection on performance, perception, and the relationship between artists and audiences in the digital age. Because perhaps the real story isn't just about what happened on that stage in El Paso. Perhaps it's about what happens after. How a fleeting second can be captured, shared, and transformed into something much larger. How thousands of individual interpretations can coexist, none fully canceling out the others. How the absence of a clear answer can sometimes be more powerful than any explanation. And most importantly, how fans, driven by passion, curiosity, and connection, can turn even the smallest mystery into a global conversation. Still, even with all these perspectives, one thing remains unchanged: that moment. Those few seconds that continue to loop in countless videos, each replay offering a slightly different impression. Some viewers see nothing unusual, others see everything. And somewhere in between lies the uncertainty that keeps the discussion alive. Because no matter how many times it's analyzed, no matter how many theories are proposed, the truth remains just out of reach, close enough to feel, but never quite clear enough to confirm. Which brings us back to the question that started it all. If that moment really meant nothing, why does it still feel like something? And if it did mean something, then what exactly did we witness that night in El Paso that continues to leave so many people unsettled? Flush face,